Hola bandidos, ¿cómo estamos? Welcome to Mel's Magic. I'm Magic Mel, and this is Owl, my spirit guide. You should know him by now. And this marks episode 22, i.e. the last episode of season 4 of Mel's Magic. Now, I hope you've checked out some of my other videos. I have, and I want to congratulate myself because we've come a long way. I started this channel last November 2021. And it came out of a need to use my voice, to express myself. And it's ironic, maybe not, because this need for expression came from a huge repression of my own voice in the first part of my life. So me talking to you, verbalizing my thoughts, my opinions, my experiences, my ideas to you is liberating. And another thing is, I started this channel for myself. I'm aware there's an audience, I'm aware there's you watching, but I'm treating it as if you were me, which in effect is a whole concept. Let's see if we go into this, but I see you as an extension of me. I see you as part of me, and I want to reveal myself to you, and by doing that, reveal myself to me, because we are reflections of each other. And I want to do so in a way that is as authentic as possible at the given moment. And that's maybe a lofty goal. It's not always easy because I feel and I want to talk about, I want to use the pronoun I, but you may identify yourself in my words. There might be something that resonates with you. But I personally have found it very difficult to be authentic because I didn't even know what authenticity was. I didn't even know what my voice was. A former part of me, and I want to be grateful to that version of me, was extremely insecure, extremely distrustful of her own feelings, her own emotions, her own truth, because there was a lack of trust. There was a disconnect. And it took me pretty much the first 39 years of my life, 38 years of my life, to even come to the realization that at the core of my being was this huge mistrust. And because I was not aware of it, it played out in my outer reality. And just as the hero, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, I had to leave my home, literally, metaphorically, make a whole adventure. In my case, it was across the world, 6 different countries, and I had to end up back home to find that voice, to reconnect with my authentic voice. It's been quite a journey. But here I am. It's the 4th season of Mel's Magic. I've got 88 videos out there. Some of my friends are like, how do you do it? I'm like, dude, it just kind of comes out of me, just like today. I actually wanted to postpone this video for the new, is it full moon in, oh gosh, guys, I don't know if it's the new moon coming up or the full moon coming up. And I know it's in Libra. So I told myself, hey, I'm just going to record my next video on Saturday when I'm a little bit more tranquila. There's lots of commotion happening at home. My family's moving back to the Philippines. But I had this urge to express myself. And I know that every time I do it, I feel liberated. I feel lighter. It's like using our voice. We are this huge instrument. I mean, physical, the body is a tool. Using our voice, literally, it can go both ways. It can cure us, or it can put us in misalignment or sickness. But nowadays, ever since I've nurtured this reconnection with my authentic self, with my core. And ever since I'm consciously nurturing a loving voice, loving self-talk, it's freeing when I use my voice. It heals me. It resonates, my words resonate within my own body, and it elevates me. So there's so much to cover, and I'm literally just free-flowing here, but let's just go with the flow. So going back to, I guess my point, my intention with this video, 20-second video of season 4, was to just share myself as authentically as possible. And again, going back to that notion of filtering or inauthenticity, I've just reached a point where I'm tired to pretend. I'm tired of wearing masks. I'm tired of trying to manipulate someone else's, an abstract them's view of me. Because by me trying to manipulate that image and wanting to be whatever I want that image to be, the nice girl, the good girl, the perfect girl, I'm disowning other parts of myself. So my whole journey of going back, doing this 360 tour, like the hero's journey, starting from home and ending back home, it made me realize that there's certain things I cannot carry forward anymore. And that one of them, one big one, is inauthenticity, pretense. Let's say those are the main ones. But trust me, it literally took this huge, massive journey to even get to that realization that I cannot do this anymore. And it wasn't a smooth ride. I was resisting so much this transformation, this change in capital letters, that it literally took a massive, massive breakdown, psychological, mental, spiritual, physical, emotional breakdown on my end in 2019. It was like the universe completely collapsing my house of cards, which was built on inauthentic bricks, to make me realize, like, the universe was saying, like, hey, your structure is corroded. There's no strong fundamento. What are you actually building here? Where are you leaning your ladder? Is that wall really the wall you want to build on? Or are you reclining your ladder towards so-called success on the wrong wall? And that's what happened to me. So 2019, I had to really crawl out of this hole of despair. And it's a never-ending process, but my inner foundation is strong now, hence I'm sharing all of this with you. But it took that kind of a massive rift or destruction of my whole self-concept, of my whole reality, for me to come to the realization that I was being highly inauthentic. I was not being true to myself. In fact, it was not that I was not true to myself. I was even abandoning myself. I was betraying myself. So here we are. Yeah, every time I make a video, it's me sana, me cura. It cures me in some way. Because either I'm rehearsing and letting go thought patterns, I'm becoming conscious of thought patterns and letting them go, and I'm sharing what in that moment, in this moment, rings true, resonates true to me. And that is a whole topic. I feel when I hear something that rings true to me, I feel it. Let's take Alok, the transgender poet, writer, performance artist, as an example. Just yesterday or the day before, I listened to one of his podcasts. Actually, it was the podcast called Man Enough. they, Alok, was, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought, guys. I'll get back to it. Oh yes, resonate. There we go. Resonate with the truth. I listened to them talking, and their words were so powerful, so incisive through illusion, so eloquent, so powerful, so meaningful, so weighty with depth and compassion. My body was covered in goosebumps. I was just like, I was crying. I'm like, wow, this is so powerful. The spoken word is so powerful. And my body, my being recognized truth in their words. So, what rings true for us is something very personal, but I feel it's something that your body feels. Words, at the end of the day, are merely pointers. we often take words so literal because we want to understand. Our mind wants to categorize. Our mind wants to grasp. Our mind wants to concretize in a finite way and say, I've understood it. But actually, words are just pointers. What the words allude to is often much bigger, much wider, much vaster in their complexity, in their multidimensionality, that we are just, we just use the words as little specters where we claim to see the truth. But let's pull it back to Alok in the podcast. You can tell when somebody speaks something truthful because it resonates in your body. You feel it. It's like your body remembers. It's vibrating. Your body responds in a way that feels right, that feels true. So Alok, the performance artist, multidisciplinary, says, wow. Something to strive towards in terms of eloquence. But yeah, using our voice, something as basic yet as powerful as using our voice. I think I shared with you with the recent new moon in Virgo, I've been practicing, putting into practice discernment, even with my thoughts, and being very conscious what I say, why I say it, because it has an impact. And I'm not saying I'm always successful with it. I have certain patterns in me where the reaction is just too fast. My moment to respond is still too small, but I'm working on it, and that's okay. But once we become conscious of the power of our words are vibrations. Words can be a bridge towards huge concepts, multidimensional concepts that we tap into and that we can unlock. Once we become aware of that, we will naturally, I feel, become more discerning. You can destroy someone with your word, or you can build someone up. I'm sure you've had that kind of experience, no? I mean, I've had that happen to myself. A huge reason for my breakdown in 2019 was the impact my own word had on my own being, my negative self-talk. Going back to the notion of discernment, I wasn't in the past able to discern the voice of the critic, the phantom of the psyche. that was operating from my shadow, meaning outside of my conscious awareness. It was a self-sabotaging voice, often. A voice that was harsh and critical, and that just put me down my entire life, saying like, hey, you're not good enough, you're never enough, you're ridiculous, you're silly, you're weak, etc. I mean, I literally internalized that voice. I'm sure somebody out there can empathize with that, no? So again, the power of the spoken word. How do we talk to ourselves? Let's always bring it back to ourselves. What are the things you are telling yourself? Try and become conscious of that. What is the underlying tape that you play the moment you rise and until the moment you go to bed? What is that tape saying? What is that voice saying? Or what are the voices, you know? So going back to authenticity and finding our own voice, we need to build the discernment. That's a huge word, discernment. To look inside of ourselves and ask ourselves, who is talking? What is this voice saying? Name that voice. I mean, I call my inner critic, the devil, the antagonist. What is this voice telling you? Where is it even coming from? Let's always take it a step deeper. Where is it coming from? And then ultimately, does it serve me? What is the effect of this voice? Is it building me up? Is it tearing me down? For us to build our own authentic voice, we need to be able to discern what resonates as the voice of our higher self, of our true self, which is rooted in self-love and appreciation, in wholeness, in acceptance, in compassion, and which is someone else's voice, our parents, our teacher, society, culture, tradition. Name the voices that are operating inside of your psyche. And from that on, we can choose, we can pick, we can decide which voice serves us, which voice do we choose to align with, and which voice is tearing us down internally, often just below our consciousness. So I had to go through the whole process, and it was painful. It was painful to realize that I was a slave. I had been a slave to such a harsh voice inside of me. And I had to peel back the layers of my past experiences, of my upbringing, to really understand where it was coming from and why. And how do I recognize my true, authentic voice? Again, we're going back to feeling the body, using the body. I recognize my authentic voice by the way it makes me feel. It makes me feel expansive. It makes me feel appreciated and appreciative. It makes me feel at ease. It makes me feel treasured, loved. It makes me feel inspired. It makes me feel playful. And I can only recognize that by having discerned the antagonist's voice. So again, in the bigger scheme, good and bad can be flipped. We live in a reality where duality is at play. So having discerned the antagonist's voice helps me now to discern the voice of my authentic self, of my true self, of my higher self, of love, of source. But I needed the antagonist voice as contrapunto, no? So I thank I see the antagonist, I thank it. I say, I see you, I know you, I hear you, but you're no longer manipulating me, you're no longer controlling me, you're not running the show anymore. But I give you space in my field of awareness to be there because you're actually quite useful. You help me recognize what I do want to be, how I do want to feel. See the value in that? So I use my body, my feeling, the way I feel after I speak to myself and others as a barometro, as a compass. And this brings us to the importance and value of emotions. I was not able to access my true voice before because I didn't even understand the compass, i.e. my emotions. I was not brought up with emotional literacy, and often I had, as a child, emotions in me that were unexplainable. I didn't feel good, I didn't know what to do with them, so I stuffed them down. I didn't know how to emotionally regulate, so I used food to shut them down, to suppress them, and to make me feel safe. So starting 2019, past few years, I had to teach myself, with the help of others, obviously, and all the information that's out there, to understand, or even before understanding, to accept and to look at my own emotions. What were they trying to tell me? And that's huge. I really had to go back to basics. I had to understand myself. You know, the big phrase, know thyself. Know thyself. I spent 39 years, 38 years not knowing myself. It's pretty insane. So in order to find our true voice, and I guess that's the topic of this video, we need to get to know ourselves. We need to learn to become intimate with ourselves. Intimate in the sense that hold space for our own emotions. And learn how to decode them. It reminds me of, I went to school here in Spain, high school, and we had Latin, and most of my peers hated Latin because it was so complicated. I loved it. I loved to decode things. So I applied the same principle. I said, okay, this is a complex language here, the language of emotions, but I'm excited. I want to understand it. Now that I see that I skipped this huge building block in my past life, past version of me, I want to now understand. I want to decode my emotions. And that's a whole process. I'm still in it. You know, it's never ending, as I said. But once we connect with our emotions, we can use them. We can use our body, our emotions as tool to guide us to our authentic voice. We will learn to understand when we're out of alignment and when we are in alignment. So let's be compassionate with ourselves. Let's be patient with ourselves. Let's look at ourselves as this, which we are, precious being, this treasure box that we had never looked at. We never really uncovered it. Spend some time looking into yourself and trying to understand yourself. I promise you, it is an endeavor, a journey. It's not only worthwhile, it is marvelous. We carry so much. We are multidimensional beings. We carry worlds, universes within ourselves that we haven't even discovered and looked at. You know, the outer world, we spend so much time conquering and exploring and dissecting science, trying to get to the to the kernel of it, and we haven't even looked into ourselves. I like to call myself a psychonaut, i.e., an astronaut that goes into the inner space and discovers the galaxies that are within me. We can only connect and use our true voice if we're intimate with ourselves, if we are versed in understanding and processing and using our own emotions as tool. We can only access our true authentic voice once we stop lying to ourselves. Once we take off masks of persona, of filters, each mask being a filter through which we present ourselves to the outer world for the sake of protecting our core self, because we feel vulnerable. Once we stop lying to ourselves, first and foremost, we feel a weight coming off. We feel freer. And we're less afraid. At the root of everything is also stepping into love rather than fear. Stepping from fear into love. That's a whole other topic. But let's just say we need to cultivate enough self-love to dare speak our truth, to dare hold space, acknowledge and recognize our own emotions, and then communicate them to others. These are bold, huge, bold steps. I know, I've been there, I'm still in there. But there is, for me, no other way. There's no going back. I want to continuously unfold, transform, flow. I do not want to resist anymore. I do not want to hide in the shadows anymore. I do not want to betray myself anymore. I want to enjoy this process of self-discovery, which is a gift. You know, our life here is one huge opportunity for self-discovery, of stepping from the small you to the you, capital letters. The immensity of you as an eternal, multidimensional, powerful being. That journey of self-discovery is an adventure. We're given the opportunity of this amazing adventure to get to know ourselves, to reconnect with our own voice, our authentic voice that is not being manipulated from an external authority, from external pressure, a voice that rings true for us through our body, through our being. A voice that's healing, constructive, and uplifting. A voice that's liberating not only for yourself, but for others. I've got a lot to say, guys. But I want to thank you for being here and listening. It's a huge challenge also to be actively listening to someone. I'm the first person to admit it, you know. I'm actually going to put that on my intention list to be a better listener. But we're all in this process together. And I'm also using my episodes here as a continuous snapshot in time of myself. And I do not want to, the goal is not to arrive at some fixed destiny of who is Magic Mel. No, it's a continuous unfolding. It's a journey. I no longer want to be bound by fixed mental constructs so that my ego can feel safe. No. I want to flow with the voice of love, with the voice of empowerment, and continuously let go, transform. Why? Because I know the pain and the suffering that resistance brings. I've been there. I'm not going there again. I've learned my lessons. I'm thankful for the lessons. So here I am with each video sharing where I'm at. Sometimes I'll watch one of my videos and say, actually, I can expand on that. Actually, I feel differently about that now. And that's cool. That's fine, you know? We are a process, not a destination. It's an ongoing journey. Let's appreciate ourselves for that. For the process, for the journey, for the mess-ups, for the mistakes, for the stumbling around in the dark, for hitting brick walls, for stagnation, for crawling out of holes of despair. Let's celebrate, let's appreciate this process, this ongoing process, and let's rest assured always that we're not alone in this. Yes, it's an internal journey. The hero always has to go to the edge of the village and face the woods on his own, go into the cave of his own darkness to meet his own dragon. But he then goes back to the community to share his or her gifts or their gifts and to collaborate, to support each other, to build interconnected relationships. Be brave and discover yourself. Get to know thyself, but reach out also when you're struggling, when you need support, when you need compassion, when you need guidance. That's fine. We're all in this together. No one's getting out here alive, by the way. That also helps me to put things in perspective sometimes, you know, with our daily, you know, we all struggle. We all go through like 3D, very material challenges. But let's remember the bigger picture. The bigger picture of this being this marvelous, magnificent, fantastic opportunity to reconnect with our authentic voice, to know, get to know who we are in the widest sense, in the most multidimensional, expansive sense. And let's treasure each step of the journey, not rushing ahead to the destination, but being right here, right now, looking back, seeing how far we've come, being grateful that we're here, still in the midst of it, still struggling forward in spirals, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's okay. We're allowed to make mistakes. We're allowed to mess up. Let's have compassion for ourselves and patience. I'm also practicing patience. I always tell myself, what would love do? Love would be patient. Love would be temperate. Love would be compassionate. Love would be playful. And once you get a sense of what this true voice, your authentic, unique true voice feels like and sounds like, share it. Don't be afraid. Let's stop complaining about the world being too this, the world being too that, not enough of this, not enough of that. How about sharing our voice and our story? If you feel the stories out there are disempowering, victimizing, then share a different story. Technical glitch, okay, I think that's the universe saying, you spoke enough, Mel. All right. But my last point was, yeah, if you're not happy with the stories that are out there, then share your voice, reconnect with your own voice, and speak your truth. Share your truth. We need to hear your voice. It's liberating, not only for yourself, but for all of us. Bah? And I don't think we have time for like a 3-card story, but let's just pull I'll just pull 1 card from the Light Seers deck too. ask for what is coming. How about that? What are we able to create? Because remember, what is coming is directly related to now, to what we are creating. So let's stay present and be conscious of what we're creating. What is possible? What is in the energy? What are we creating right now on our journey of self-discovery? What is next? I've already cleared the space. I'm connecting to my angel spirit guides and ancestors. What is next on our beautiful, beautiful journey of self-discovery and unfolding? What is next? Come on, I had to make like an epic final episode of season 4. And again, as I told you, I want to transform Mel's magic also. So I want to just switch it up, do something different. Okay, there's 2 cards. I'll take them both, yeah? So my question was, what is next? I'm going to read them together. Yeah. There we go. So on the left, here, we're reversed. Here, we've got the 9 of Swords, and you see somebody, what looks like awake at night, completely anxious with all these crows swirling above her like nightmarish creatures in that sense, not allowing her to rest or to sleep properly. She looks quite antagonized by them. But let's open our field of perception and perceive the white dove right here in the upper corner. The white dove that is just above these nightmarish crows. The white dove representing here for me hope, expansiveness, the light like a messenger of the divine, hovering just above our what looks like negative mental constructs. There we go. We are so caught in our own self-fabricated nightmares, our own perception of the world that's not even connected to our authentic voice. Stories that have been regurgitated and told by outdated entities of the lower mind. They have been keeping us away, restless at night, causing us so much anxiety. But we need to realize that liberation is hovering just one vibration above. One breath higher, one breath deeper. Again, discernment. Let's discern these voices that are keeping us up at night, whispering self-sabotaging advice to us. Do we buy into that advice? Or can we recognize it for what it is? The antagonist's voice. I'm looking at these cards again as yin and yang, the duality of our situation. I want to interpret the 9 of Swords also as this potential that is always within every situation, the higher perspective we can find in every situation, if only we slow down and reconnect with our body first and our breath. There is huge potential here to see the negative mental constructs for what they are. And we can see them as food, just like I shared earlier. I use the antagonist voice in me as barometer for what I do not want to associate with, for what I do not want to connect with. If I wasn't aware of that voice, it helps me discern, is what I'm trying to say. So use your negative mental constructs as a tool for discernment. Label those negative mental constructs, those old outdated stories. Be aware of them. Be aware of how you talk to yourself. Does it resonate with you on a true level? Do these negative stories uplift you? Yes or no? Or is there another way? Is there a higher way? A more expansive way to talk to yourself? A more loving, more compassionate way? The overall card is justice. Again, we have the sense of duality here. The girl, the figure, mirrored, but to me looks like a more grounded version. So I look at this as there being a more ethereal, spiritual version of us and a more 3D, grounded version of us, and we need both. Justice happens when we recognize that we are the rainbow bridge between the material and the spiritual. We are these vessels, these channels for alchemization, through which the universe, spirit, the higher power, creates itself. We need to be grounded, connected to the earth, and connected to spirit. That's when we bring things into balance. This is what lies ahead. This materialization of spirit in matter is what lies ahead. Justice talks to me very much about the creation of the new world, which is a whole other topic. But I'm sure some of you are familiar with that concept, the new world. We human beings are being called forth to bring down spirit into matter and to uplift matter to spirit, to find that balance, that to flow in that dynamic, to transmute our negative mental constructs into higher vibrational frequencies. And it starts with discernment, discerning what belongs to us and what is something exterior, something we have identified with that is not part of our higher self, of our soul's voice, of our intuition. Let's detach from all kinds of negative mental constructs, old stories we carry within ourselves, old thought patterns, old beliefs, and let's transmute them into something more benevolent, more higher frequency, more healing. Not only for ourselves, but for the collective. Remember, when we do this inner work, when we heal ourselves, I've said this before and I'll say it again, since we're all connected, we infuse a different, a higher frequency into the collective, and that is huge for the frequency of the planet, for creating justice, for becoming this new human that needs to be grounded and steadfast in this material world. We are part of this world. We belong here. We are made of elements of this planet and stardust. But we need to be grounded. And by doing so, by bringing the sacred back into the everyday, into our everyday rituals, we uplift matter to spirit. We will bring justice to ourselves as beings, to the wider world, and for the new earth. So my question was, what lies ahead? For me, these two cards speak about transmutation, transformation, balancing, bringing back into balance. They talk about the potential for using what has happened for transformation, just like the lotus uses the mud for its soil to grow from. We can make use of the negativity in ourselves and out there as fuel for transformation, for blossoming of our own consciousness. I'm happy with this, and I'm happy with this 22nd episode and closing episode of season 4 of Mel's Magic. And we're gonna shake it up in next season. I'm probably reconfigure everything. Vamos a ver, ¿vale? One thing at a time, one video at a time, one step at a time. It's an unfolding process. However, I'm super happy, grateful you guys are here. let's take it back to basics. I'm Magic Mel. It's Al, my spirit guide. My channel is called Mel's Magic. If you like my videos, do hit the like button right down here. Click, 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 like. It helps my channel grow. And I also really appreciate if you subscribe so you can see more of my videos. Check out season 1, 2, 3 of Mel's Magic. Yeah, there's plenty of videos. I've got like 87 videos out there. Something might resonate with you. Something might help you think about things differently, question yourself, discern, you know. We need stories. We're human beings. We thrive on stories. We need myths. We need a new myth, in fact. So I'm also here. So check them out, those videos. Hey, and feel free to comment. Resonates, doesn't resonate. I'm open for constructive discussions. Vale? And I also have a PayPal link that is shared in the description down here. If you feel so inclined, I appreciate any donation. It helps me immensely to keep these videos flowing. And voila, stay tuned, guys, for, oh, there's my stomach, hungry, for season 5 of Mel's Magic. And I'm looking forward to creating more magic together, okay? And remember, Owl and I have got your back, sending infinite love and infinite gratitude. And let's remain grounded in fierce compassion for ourselves and for others. See you soon. Ciao.